Everyone. Hey, greetings. Rajee Narinesingh here, transgender activist, author, spiritualist, actress, show host of two online shows, and reality TV personality from the reality show Botched on the E network. So I'm coming to you from my very humble home here in South Florida, USA, Hollywood to be exact. And you like my red? Oh my God, I love red. I got so many red tops, y'all. So, on a serious note, lately I've been thinking about my dad a lot and thinking about memories from growing up, good ones, bad ones, in between ones. And I've been feeling kind of sad, melancholy. Um, it's like a little bittersweet. And so I was wondering, like, why all of a sudden am I thinking about my dad so much? I think about him, but like lately it's been a lot, and remembering all these things, and my dad passed away in December of 2004. It was December 23rd, 2004. So it's been a while now. But I was like, duh, December just passed. So probably subconsciously, you know, I was thinking about it and then it's now come to my consciousness. Yeah, I tell you. So, does any of you remember back in the day the good old switch? Well, back in the day when mommy or daddy would go outside and get a branch from a tree and they call it their switch and then come inside and beat your ass. Oh my God. Now, I'm all for discipline. Not always spanking, but being, having discipline with children. And sometimes a little spanking, like a whop on the butt. You got to be careful today, honey, because any little thing they're calling child protective services on you. But it's gone from one extreme to the other because I remember back in the day, I mean, some of that stuff was borderline abuse. Hell, some of that stuff was just plain old abuse, okay? So, anyway, I didn't know about the switch. No, I didn't know about the switch. But what I did know about is my daddy's belt buckle. Honey, my dad used to beat me with his belt, and not the strap part, the buckle part, okay? Oh my God. I tell you, and I have memories all the way back to about 1.5 years old. Yeah, it was about like 1.5. And my parents were going out. I remember my mom had a sari on, so they were probably going to like an Indian event. And my dad was holding me, and I wanted to go to my mom, so I'm crying. And all of a sudden, he just at the top of his lungs told me to shut up. And he whopped me on my butt. And my mom's behind him, and she's like doing this, like, please, like, be quiet, please settle down. And in my 1.5 year old mind, I'm thinking, don't do this, take me, I want to go to you. So, not too long after that, I was in my high chair. My mom had gone out to the store, and uh, I was crying for mommy. My dad was sitting across from me at the kitchen table, and my uncle was staying with us. I call him Popo. Hey, Popo! So I'm crying, and you know what? I mean, we all know how sometimes babies can really be irritating when they're crying, so I'm sure I had gotten on my father's nerves. Okay, I was probably driving him crazy. And all of a sudden, he took his hand and he slammed it down on the kitchen table, and he jumps up and gets in my face, and he's screaming, "Shut up! Shut up!" And he grabs me by my face and lifts me up out of the high chair, and he shakes me and then puts me down. And like when you're trying to stop crying, I was like and I also was like stunned. And then I remember my mom coming in, and they're like, like scenes, like pieces of scenes for in my memory. And so I remember her coming in and she walking over to me in shock and then turning to my dad and saying, "What did you do to his face?" Well, back then I was a boy. Honey, I've always been a girl, but you all know what I mean. So then I remember suitcases in the hallway and boxes. I guess we were leaving, Mom and I. But I think my uncle talked to my mom and my dad apologized and we didn't leave. So now I'm about 3 years old in the back room. The back room was my room. And at the time, my parents were in an apartment, a young married couple, with me trying to get on their feet. And so we hadn't moved into the nice house in Mount Airy, Chestnut Hill yet. So I'm in the back room, and my uncle, Popo, used to sleep in the back room with me. So this night, and I think my mom might have been pregnant with my sister. I think. But so this night they're all in the back room, Popo, me, my mom and dad, and then they, tell me to settle down, like it's time for me to go to bed. And am I going to say my prayers? So I get on my knees on the bed and I'm praying now. I don't know what the hell got into me, why I would say what I said. Oh my God. In retrospect, I'm thinking, bitch, you are crazy. But after praying, they asked me, well, what did you pray for? And I said, I prayed that Popo died. My uncle died. Now, why I would say that, who knows? And at 3, I don't even know if I really understood the depth of that and how that was horrible, how horrible it was to say. Well, my father went ballistic. He was screaming at the top of his lungs. He went and got the belt and he hit me a few times. Well, I'm 3, but he did hit me. I remember getting hit by the belt a few times. And my uncle, I remember him saying, "Oh, come on, stop. He's a baby, 3 years old. He doesn't know what he's saying." I remember that. But like I said, Lord knows. I guess I was batshit crazy even back then. So, okay, I want to say, I know that you all are probably noticing, that I'm laughing and joking and stuff. And anyone that knows me knows that oftentimes I use my humor to get through things, hard times, trauma, sad feelings. They say if you don't laugh, you cry. And Lord knows if it doesn't go here, it makes you stronger, right? God. But yeah, but by all means, please understand that I know how serious this is. And, when children grow through this sort of thing, it can oftentimes traumatize the person for the rest of their lives. I mean, unless you work through it. And thankfully, I've been to therapy and, through prayer and meditation and my faith. And just through me living life, I'm able to talk about these experiences I had without falling apart, like without getting so emotional. There was a time I couldn't do that though. So please know that I understand the seriousness of this. And I just felt I needed to say that because me and my humor, honey, my jokes. So then, okay, I would say the most embarrassing time where my father beat me. We were at the house in Mount Airy, Chestnut Hill then, and the house was like 3 levels. It was basement, first floor, second floor. I'm probably about 6 years old now. My sister, she was in the picture because we moved into the house when I was 4 and she was a baby. So she's in the picture now. So I used to be scared to go downstairs at night because the bedrooms were on the second floor. And so this one night I'm in my bed and my dad calls me. He's yelling for me. So I get up and I go to the front room. Oh, and yeah, the back room again. That was my room. I don't know what it is with me in the back room growing up. My sister had the middle room and my parents were in the front room. So, anyway, I go to my parents' room. My dad said, go downstairs and get your mom something to drink. She's thirsty. So in my mind, I'm like, I'm scared of to go downstairs. Why are you making me do this? God. So I didn't say it, but I was thinking it. And I have to admit, I did have a little bit of an attitude. I didn't say anything or talk back, but my energy. And so I went down, I got it. And I know probably he did that, because, he's thinking, oh no, this has to stop. I can't be afraid, to go down there. So he probably did that on purpose, I'm sure now, thinking about it. But yeah, so I come back with the drink, I give it to my mom, and I'm walking out. And again, this little attitude. And he went crazy. Oh my God. He was yelling at the top of his lung. I found myself up against the bed, on the bed, up against the bed headboard, trying to get away from him. And he had me pent, and he took that belt buckle, and he really beat me pretty bad that time. And I remember it was so bad, my mom eventually jumped in and said, stop it, stop it. And then I remember being in my room and mom taking the Vaseline and rubbing the whelps on my legs, that I got from getting beat. And that was bad. But honey, the next day was even worse. Oh my God. I was outside playing, and some of the kids came up to me, and actually, I think one of the neighbors, and they said, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah. Why? I'm fine. And then they were like, we heard you last night. Oh my God. Talk about so embarrassed. I just wanted to go through the ground. I was so embarrassed. That was really, really embarrassing for me. My God. And then I would say I had two. Yeah. The two most scariest times for me, and let me tell you, there were quite a number of times. I'm talking about the most memorable ones, okay? But one time, it was Christmas time, and my dad had been out drinking, and he came home, and he was kind of drunk, and my mom had dinner waiting for him. And I remember he didn't want what my mom cooked. And so he wanted eggs for some reason. And toast and something else. I can't remember. But anyway, he liked to have his toast on Italian bread. Where, the Italian bread was toasted and then put some butter on it. But my mom had put it in the freezer because, bread gets stale so fast, and that would make it last longer. So she just had to use the regular toast, the sliced bread, and she cooked the eggs and the bread and all, and she toasted the bread. And my sister and I were in the living room. So she brings the plate to my dad, and he's looking, and he's like, but I don't want the toast like that. I want the Italian bread. And she's like, hon, the Italian bread is frozen. Can you just eat this? And she sets the plate down. Well, she's walking away, and he takes the plate and he flings it across the room. Oh my God. He gets up and he takes the TV and smashes it to the ground. And my dad had different levels. Oh my God. He had different. That to me was level 3. I called that level 3. That was the rage level. And so then by that time, my mom and my sister and I were kind of hovered together in the living room. And he comes in, and remember those ceramic elephants that they used to have back in the 70s? He picks that up he's gonna throw it at my mom. And my sister and I were behind my mom, and then all of a sudden I jumped in front of my mom and I said, oh shit. Protecting my mom and sister. Now mind you, I'm shorter than my mom, because I think I was probably, what, maybe 8 years old, 7 or 8, something like that. And so, oh my God, he looks at me and he like shakes his head and then he smashes the elephant to the ground. And oh, so that was a pretty scary one. And then the other one that's really scary for me, it was really scary. Uh, my mom and dad were arguing. It was winter time. There was snow on the ground, probably like February. Yeah, and it was snow on the ground. And they were arguing in the kitchen. My sister and I were in the dining room. We had a little spat, but I know what that was. We were just nervous and upset that my parents were arguing and like uneasy. So I guess my dad heard us or whatever. He comes in and oh my God, I swear, my sister was his angel, his princess. Me? Honey, I was Cinderella. Oh my God, I was the stepchild. I don't know what the hell I was with him then, but he looked at me with such hate in his eyes, and he says to me, "You think you're somebody, don't you? Who do you think you are? You think you're something, right? Who do you think you are?" And I'm like, "What did I do? Like, what are you talking about? You think you're special." And he leaps with his hands like this to go to my neck to choke me. And my sister jumped in front of him and said, "No, Dad, no." And that gave me a chance to jump up and run around the table. So he then picks up one of the dining room chairs and throws it at me. And my mom and sister run out the house. So now it's him and I. And he's on one side of the table and I'm on the other. And it was this big jar of pepper sauce. It was about this high and this wide. And he picked it up to throw it at me. But I guess, honey, he looked at it and said, "Oh no, this pepper sauce, no, no, no." Because it was pepper sauce from Trinidad that had been sent. So, honey, he was like, "Oh, I don't know when I'm going to get this again, so we can't throw this." Oh, so he sets it down. And he's like, "I can't throw that pepper sauce, honey." But I was terrified. And I remember looking at him and pleading and saying, "Dad, please don't kill me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Whatever I did, I'm sorry. Please don't kill me, Dad." And, I kept thinking, I gotta get out of this house. I gotta get away. So I thought, make it to the basement, to the back door, because we had a back door in the basement. And I looked to my right where the basement door was. I looked back at him, and in my mind, I just said, "Make a run for it." And he's still going off in his rage. And so I ran to the door, and the steps down to the basement, it was probably about 13 to 15 steps. I literally threw myself down the steps. I leaped down. And I still actually have a cut on my right ankle from that. So I make it to the back door, and I get out. And I'm in the snow in my underwear because that's all I had on was my underwear. And I was bleeding from the cut on my leg. And, my sister, mom, and I were like running down the block to go get help from a neighbor. Yeah, that was pretty traumatic. And I remember really feeling so scared that night, like really terrorized and scared of my dad. Oh my God. I tell you. Well, like I said, my sister was his favorite. And that's natural, daddy's girl. But like, there was a time like he would bring gifts home, like when he would come home from work, and he was just bringing her gifts and not me. And, as a kid, you're like, at first, like the first couple times, whatever, but then it started to bother me. And I remember one time he came and he had a present for my sister and nothing for me. And my mom had sent my sister and I upstairs, but I could hear her. And she was like, "You have 2 children, not one child. You better not bring anything in here for my sister unless he had something for me." And I remember that. That was something. That plays on the psyche too. So not only was it physical, but then it was the psychological too. I tell you, it's sometimes I talk about these things and it's almost like I feel like I'm back there, not for a long time, just like a moment. It's like I go back to the scene, like I almost feel like I'm in the scene. But yeah, like I said, thank God I can talk about this stuff without getting too emotional, usually. Um, so, I know that, we go through things in our lives and everything that we've been through makes us who we are in this very moment. So even the so-called bad things, and I probably could try and sit here and, for the rest of my life and try to figure out why things were the way they were between my dad and I. And listen, I gotta say, it wasn't all doom and gloom. I had some good times with my dad. So it was certainly a mixed bag. I want to make that clear. But yeah, I could sit here probably the rest of my life and try to figure out why and woulda, coulda, shoulda, and I'm sure a lot of things played into it. You know, his personality and my personality were very different. He was a natural pessimist. I'm a natural optimist. So we just had different personality types, and I think there was a clash there. And he had his issues from growing up, and the stress of immigrating to America and being an immigrant here and trying to work hard to live the so-called American dream, and the pressures of having a family to take care of, and his alcoholism. Well, my dad was a functioning alcoholic, though. He would go to work every day and he provided for his family. He took care of us. We always had a roof over our head and, food to eat. And we lived in a nice neighborhood. And so, one of the things I would say my dad did very well was he was a good provider. He did go to work. So functioning alcoholic, but on the weekends, my God, like even in the evening time sometimes, but especially on the weekends, oh, that's when it would really get bad. And so a lot of things played into it. And I'm sure, he wasn't expecting the son that he got, with me. I'm sure. I'm sure he wasn't expecting to have to deal with um, the type of son he got, and I know that must have been hard for him. What can I say? I was just being myself. And then I was an innocent child, just being in my natural state. But I think my dad saw it in me before I even saw it in myself. I really do. That I was gay. And back then there wasn't much talk about transsexuality. So, he saw that in me, the femininity, and I wasn't acting like the other boys would act. And so, I know for sure that that was something else that played into the reason why our relationship was so volatile. Just and on in many different ways, on so many different levels. God, I remember. Oh my God, this I'm remembering this now. My eighth grade graduation, I got like 8 awards, and the last award I got emotional because I got a standing ovation. Everyone stood up for me, so I started crying a little. Not boohoo crying, but crying a little. And after the graduation, I'm running up to my parents, like all proud with my awards, and my dad like stormed out, and I'm like, "What did I do?" Like, and I think in retrospect, he was probably ashamed that his son was crying, in front of all those people. I don't know. And he was a little tipsy anyway. And it's, again, a lot of things went into it. But for a kid, that just won 8 awards at their 8th grade graduation, the message I got was like, doesn't matter, like nothing is good enough. And even my mom, she says it sometimes. She's like, you could never please your dad. Like there was nothing good enough, especially like when I was a kid. But uh and then as an adult, there were some accomplishments that I made, that he kind of in his own way let me know, oh, good job, or he thought it was a good job. But even then, it was like, so, um, yeah. So, what I think I got from my mom is, I learned from my mom how to love. I learned from my mom, giving and sharing and being kind, um, spirituality, having faith. Um, I remember growing up, my mom in that kitchen reading her prayer book, you know, with all she was dealing with my dad, and my parents. Oh God, they loved each other. They had a soul connection. Um, but everything she dealt with, dealing with my dad, and just the hardships of life. But she would be in that kitchen with her prayer book. She used to get this prayer book. I can't remember the name of it, but it had daily prayers, and anytime, even in the good times, she had that book, and she would be reading her prayers, and you could just tell that she was praying, being still, and praying, and that impacted me. I saw that growing up, and it definitely, um, impacted me, and seeing that example of faith. Oh God. So, but ironically, what I got from my dad is I got courage, determination, strength. I didn't realize, this until he passed away. Then it hit me like a ton of bricks. I got those things from him in an odd kind of way. It infused into that. I think I was so hell bent on trying to prove to him that, yeah, I'm trans and you have a problem with it, but I'm going to show you, I'm going to make it in this world. And I think that infused into me having the courage and strength and, determination that I needed to get through all of the really hard times that I went through, that I've been through in my life, and to even just be able to exist in the world as a transgender, woman. So that's the irony in it. A lot of times the so-called bad things we go through, um, you don't know until like down the road how it's going to impact you in a positive way. And so when my dad died, and like I had that realization, I was like, oh my God, wow. Like that's what I got from him. Yeah, that's what I got from him. I'm so thankful that before he passed away, a few months before, we had our what I call full circle moment, that we connected in love. Um, he had been sick, and I was calling home every day, and he started to get better. And I'm calling home, talking to my mom, checking in on how things are going, and then like little by little he'd want to talk to me more, and then it just became more and more. And the things that he said to me, I mean the loving things that he expressed to me, that he had never done in our relationship up to that point. It was just amazing. And sometimes I even look at the phone like, is this my father? My God. And 2 weeks before he died, we were on the phone, and he said to me, he says, I just wish I knew you were going to be okay. He said, I wish I knew you were going to be okay in this world. He said, because people can be so cruel to your type. And, me being trans, that's what he meant. And, I said, I know, Dad. And in that moment it hit me, God, I said, everything that we went through, the good times, the bad times, the ugly times, everything, the good, the bad, the ugly, um, all of what our relationship had been, in that moment it hit me that, he just, when it came down to it, wanted the best for me. He wanted to know that I was going to be able to be okay in this world and have a good life. And so, yeah, it was like the death talk because he says, me and your mom won't always be here. And I knew, I was like, oh God. And, he had been doing really good. And that happens when, sometimes when someone's really sick and then they start to perk up and you think, oh, they're going to be around, for a while more, and then they'll pass away. And that's what happened with him. 2 weeks later, my dad died. He passed away, and I'm so thankful to God. I am so grateful to the Holy Spirit that I had that time with him, that we were able to connect and love and have that full circle moment, and I think if I hadn't have had that, dealing with his death would have been a lot harder for me. And so I have so much gratitude for being able to have that with my dad. Yeah, it was truly a blessing because I was able to be able to deal with him going better. I don't know. Like I said earlier in the video, I could probably spend most of my life trying to figure out why things were the way they were between us. And like I said, a number of things I'm sure played into it. But what I absolutely know for sure, is that I miss him. And sometimes, especially in recent years with all the good stuff that's happened, me being given a platform to share my story worldwide and all the different shows I was on, and then it leading to reality TV and all the activism and advocacy I've done in the world, and especially here in South Florida, and the blessings that have come with it. And there's moments where I think about Dad and I'm like, God, I wish he had been here to see it, and to experience it with me. I know he's up there and I'm sure he's seeing it all, but you know what I mean, here in the physical to experience it with me. I'm sorry, I am getting emotional, you see. God, I probably have makeup running all over the place. I don't want to scare you. Yeah, but so that's what I know for sure. And you all know me. You all who know me, really know me, know that when I have something on my mind, oftentimes I do a video about it to express myself. And so this is what I've been going through lately, and I just thought I would share it with you. And whatever you've been through, I just want to say to you that even the bad things that you've gone through, the bad situations, the bad experiences, if it didn't kill you, it certainly made you stronger. And I know that you can find blessings from those experiences. Even if you learned from it, it was a blessing. So on that note, I just want to wish you all love, happiness, peace, good health, prosperity. Oh, I gotta make sure, honey. You know me with my cleavage. I'm constantly like, are they falling out? Anyway, yeah, love, happiness, peace, good health, prosperity, many wonderful blessings. And it's the new year, so a serendipitous 2021. Boy, did I know my daddy's belt buckle. care.